Mr. Steal Your Girl. Mr. Steal Your Girl, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I would not let my wife around this man in that vest, ever. Look at him. You ever seen a man that confident before wearing an astrology-themed vest? I'd never seen it.
I mean, he's smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
He's better. He's got more style than you.
And he could take you down with a double leg if he needs to.
Exactly. Good amateur. I mean, again, stud.
That's right. I mean, he's a little condescending, but other than that. But you know what? Maybe he's got reason to be. So Neil deGrasse Tyson jumped up on YouTube, where you got to do it nowadays, and he clapped back against your boy Terrence Howard.
Oh, okay, mine.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So Neil deGrasse Tyson had some things to say finally, because you remember Terrence Howard, he went on Joe Rogan and explained that he figured out that math, as it turns out, wrong.
Multiplication doesn't make any sense in the way that we
because we're doing it linear. He's talking about the cycles, the movement of everything. So he's got a t-shirt. Square root of 2 is? What's square root of 2, hot dog?
Fuck, what is it? 1?
Yep. 1 times 1 is. Because 1 times 1 is.
It's 1.
Nope, 2. Terrence. Yeah.
Honestly, you might fuck me up during this whole conversation.
By the way, I like that you really thought the square root of 2 was 1. You're like, it's 1, right?
No, oh fuck! I haven't been in school in a minute.
I did. 1 times 1 is. You're like.
I might have to Google the square root of 2.
Well, so Terrence Howard basically said, okay, math, I figured out why it's wrong, and also figured out why the periodic table of elements is wrong. Gravity is nonsense. He's got a whole bunch of stuff. He did a whole thing. It was great. I loved it. I love the world. I like watching Trump on Logan Paul's show. I like watching Terrence Howard blow all of our minds. And honestly, I know about horror movies. I know about pro wrestling. I don't know math like that. Terrence Howard's done more. Who's done more studying about math, you or Terrence Howard?
I mean, you just saw me struggling right now.
That's what I'm saying.
I would have to take his word for it.
And he sounds confident when he talks, like really confident.
Right.
Like going like, hey, all the math is wrong. My math is right. I'm very sure of it. And it's like.
You think he could sell you?
Yeah, I can't prove him wrong.
Time?
I can't prove him wrong. You know what I mean? Like he goes, the Pythagorean theorem. I go, yeah, I remember hearing about that. He goes, it's wrong. I was like, you know what I go like this. Really? Like okay. Like if you say so. I have never known enough to say the Pythagorean theorem is incorrect. But he looks
Pythagorean himself is wrong.
The Pythagorean theorem is an equation.
No, I know. But I mean,
you didn't know that.
I would guess.
No, you didn't.
Okay,
what is cool? What is it?
I don't know what it is. So I'm just wondering if it was created by Pythagorean.
So by who?
Pythagorean?
Pythagorean?
Fuck, I'm gonna have to look at this. I'm gonna have to Google this.
I've already lost you, huh?
Yeah.
So Terrence Howard said that he had briefly spoken to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He said that they met at an event and they had talked about doing his show. Neil deGrasse Tyson was like, yeah, I'd love to have you on my show. And then Terrence Howard was like, yeah. I'm all about doing the show and everything, but like, this isn't some like silly show business thing. This is the real deal. And I want to send you the 36-page version of what I did, like of what I discovered. So Neil deGrasse Tyson is like, I mean, I don't really have time to sit around and read 36 pages, but all right, send me 36 pages then. Mm-hmm. And this is both. So far, they line up equally. They both say this happened. Terrence Howard sent the 36 pages. But then Terrence Howard said that it was like he was vitriolic in the way that he put down everything that Terrence said in the thing. That it was like clear, it was just like an attack Terrence. I'm paraphrasing, but it was
Yeah.
almost like he was attacking Terrence, and Terrence Howard went, "Oh, this is something else. This isn't science. This isn't like let's explore ideas. This is somebody who's coming after me for discovering the truth." That I think that was the vibe. I think that Terrence Howard got.
I bet you Neil sent it back with a bunch of,
Bro.
strikes and all that stuff.
Bro, see that guy right there?
Yeah.
Love that picture. Neil deGrasse Tyson. In case you ain't know, Neil deGrasse Tyson comes with receipts every time. He said this interaction probably happened 8 years ago or something like that. Several years ago, this interaction happened. Neil deGrasse Tyson had the printouts. He took the 36-page document. He read every page top to bottom. And he redlined and peer-reviewed the entire thing.
Yep.
And so what did this guy do? He jumped on YouTube, went through the entire document, and read all of his criticisms.
He held on to that for 8 years.
8 years.
And I guess, wouldn't you too?
He had it
Terrence
right.
Howard, yeah.
Yeah, I love Hard Out Here for a Pimp. And the way he redlined it and attacked it, it was like, I used to not tell my father that I had assignments due. Not because I wasn't going to do them, but because I knew that he would say, "Hey, you mind if I read that before you hand it in?" And I wouldn't even be able to see what I had typed under all the red ink that he would put on this thing. It was insane. I remember one time, I was a very lazy kid. And I remember one time I wrote a paper and I was too lazy to save it on the computer. I didn't even, Apple S. I was just too lazy. I was like, whatever, dude. I just printed it and I was like, okay, I'm done. Click, do you want to save? No.
Yeah.
I just clicked no. It was the quickest thing. I was lazy. And I just put it down on the counter, went and took a shower, walked downstairs to the kitchen, looked down on the counter, read as far as the eye could see. My dad goes, "I saw you left that out. I just wanted to make a couple notes. I figured you wouldn't mind." I went,
"Oh,
no.
You're screwed."
No, I appreciate the feedback on this. I had to go upstairs, retype the whole thing with the notes and everything. It was terrible. It was terrible.
If I was you, I would have taken advantage of that and just half-assed the paper that I knew Pops would
right. Yeah, right. He's gonna redline. That's probably the way to do it. So that's how he handled Terrence Howard, though, blasting through the whole thing. So he read even the beginning. He said that the quote in the beginning of this 36-page paper was, "It can never occur that the square root of a given number when added to itself is greater than the initial number squared, for that would expose a loose thread within the fabric of our understanding." And Neil wrote right under it, "First problem is that this initial hypothesis is complete. The opening thesis is false." Because he said that rule that you just described, every number that is less than 1 and greater than 0, 0.64, 0.76, 0.08, all of those numbers, this rule, it does occur. So this thing that it can never occur that the square root of a given number, if the number is between 0 and 1, it does occur. So since that opening thing of, I'm going to prove that this does occur, and if I can prove that this does occur, then my way of thinking is right. He's going, it already does occur. In math as we understand it, it occurs. So basically, if the first premise of this 36-page thing is flawed, I now get to go through and just say none of this works.
Now, if Neil really wanted to teach Terrence or have him softly guide him, bring him into the light, and show him he was wrong, maybe you don't strike down the very first sentence, because then it does seem like an attack.
He said I peer reviewed it the way I would review it for any of my peers.
Yeah, that's rough.
If the premise is flawed,
yes,
then we're starting from a deficit.
Right. But that would, because if the very first sentence is wrong, why even bother with like the rest of the paper?
Well, now you're just bullying.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
Now
at
you
least give him that. Give him that, and then you can go into the attacks.
right. Yeah, that's true. Because it's like, all right, you said it was wrong. All right.
Now he's just saying it over and over and over.
Yeah, still wrong, by the way, based on that first thing. I know. He said in the end, he read his notes at the end, like, and he went through the whole thing. You can find it on YouTube. It's got 2 million views already. It's great. But he goes through the whole thing, and he says that he appreciates that he has an active and restless mind, but that so many of your premises, theories, conclusions are flawed, untrue, unprovable, and unrepeatable. But the images that you supplied in this report are beautiful. And it's like, what
does that mean?
There are like graphs and images and stuff. He said the images are beautiful works of art, the likes of which I've never seen before. What's the difference?
You got to end it in a positive note.
Hot dog, what's the opposite of science?
I
was
going to say religion.
No. I would argue the opposite of science is art. In the sense that it doesn't have to be at all provable. It's completely subjective. And yep, sure, beautiful art. We can talk about it if you want, but there's nothing to test here. You know what I mean? So what he's saying is, if somebody is saying your art is beautiful, that is what I gathered from this scientific report. It feels like the most insulting thing you could say.
It's as nice as it's gonna get from Neil, though.
Yeah,
like that's
well. Then he goes on to explain. I don't think he liked being name checked by Terrence Howard, because then Neil deGrasse Tyson goes on to say, and by the way, they're calling you. He said religion is implying that science and religion cannot coexist. Which,
that's true.
As we all know, Scientology is literally. Come on, dude.
Science and religion.
Duh. So he went on to explain Terrence Howard and his relationship to the Dunning-Kruger effect. You never want to be described as having the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Remind me.
The Dunning-Kruger effect, hot dog, is kind of like what you have with like cameras and stuff like that. Like going on like shoots and stuff like that.
a great taste and a good eye.
The Dunning-Kruger effect is when you know just enough to think that you're a genius, but not enough to realize that you're wrong.
Right. Because it creates a false sense of ego.
Right, exactly, right? So you know just enough to be like, I'm an expert at this. But if you knew a little more, like if you learned a little more, you would realize that you're actually wrong about everything. There's this whole chart. It goes like, you go all the way up and you go, I'm a genius. But then you keep learning and it dips all the way down. You're lower than you were when you started, like depressed. You're wallowing. But then if you keep going, you can go even higher, and that's how you actually become an expert.
Mm-hmm.
But he put Terrence Howard at the beginning. He showed the graph and everything. Like, and he was like, this is where Terrence Howard is on the Dunning-Kruger effect. He knows enough to think that he's a genius. But right over here is where you find out that you've learned enough to know that you're wrong about everything.
Right, because in a sense, even though obviously he's wrong about everything, it almost feels like he's smarter than us when it comes to math.
Who is?
Terrence.
I would say Terrence Howard is definitely, because to think that you can disprove something, you have to have a pretty substantial understanding of what it is to begin with. So I would definitely, I don't think Terrence Howard is dumb at all. Like, I would definitely say Terrence Howard doesn't know math like I know wrestling. Okay. Mm-hmm. But Terrence Howard knows math better than either of us, yes.
But it's also crazy because at the same time, he's plainly stating crazy stuff like the multiplication table is all wrong. which a third grader knows correct, like what's correct,
That's because they're being
as opposed to him.
because they're being taught.
Uh-huh.
They're being taught the incorrect way.
Yeah, yeah,
You see?
yeah. So
Terrence
he's smarter than
doesn't.
us and
It's
dumber
not that he
than
doesn't
us.
understand the way that we've been taught math. He understands it
Right.
enough to say that it's actually wrong, and boom. And then he starts
Okay.
going, Terrence Howard like referenced all these like people that he looks up to that the scientific community poo-poos. One of them being Nikola Tesla, and then a couple other guys that have done this stuff that have been discredited. And then Neil went in and said, person by person. Oh, he got him with a bar too. So he goes person by person. Why? Well, this person's theories were not repeatable. This person's theories were not provable. And he goes, and as far as Tesla goes, he goes, Tesla has units named after him, like units of measurement named like a Tesla. There's like Newton has units of measurements named after him. There are things called Newtons. He goes, there's no bigger respect in the scientific community than having units of measurement named after you. He goes, that's how much Tesla is respected. But then he also says, just because you're very right about some things doesn't mean you're very right about anything. And he goes, and as far as this list of people goes, he goes, to be a genius is to be misunderstood. But to be misunderstood is not to be a genius. And I go, oh, bars.
I'll be closed with that.
Bars. That was his They Not Like Us.
Damn.
I was like, boom, boom, ba-da.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I hope Terrence starts like a math cult. I hope he gains followers.
Yeah, I do too. I just hope he doesn't have sex with people's wives. I mean, the minute people...
That counts with the package.
I know, but that's when I go, because you wait for it. You're like, when's he go? There it is. Okay, it is a cult. I knew it was a cult. I knew.
But it'd be fun and innocent for like a couple months until, he starts making moves.
Yeah. I would love to have that conversation with somebody. So is this thing that you're running, is this a cult? And they go, no, absolutely not. I go, it's religious. He goes, yeah, but religion is about, it's not. It's a system of belief. We're helping people, blah, blah, blah. I go, okay. You have sex with your followers' wives? And he's like,
on occasion.
Yeah, I do. Okay, then it's a cult. Okay, we figured this out. Do they give you all their possessions? Yes. Yeah.
I have to multiply.
They did. Yeah, exactly. I'm the chosen one. Should be my seed. That's all that is. That's regular stuff.
But it's just a math club.
Just math club, really. Just a math club. Yeah, we're just learning about math. You having sex with everybody's wife? Yes.
Yeah. That's the kind of the fun part.
Yeah.
It's when we let loose.
Yeah.